We have Justin Fields and the New York Jets taking on Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers in New York. This year, Week 7, 2025, prediction and preview video. Let's get straight into it with the home team here, the New York Jets. They are still searching for their first win. They're currently 0-6 as they enter this matchup against the Carolina Panthers. And they're coming off a tough loss last week against the Denver Broncos. They lost this game overseas 13-11. And Justin Fields, 9-17 for only 45 passing yards. The negative, Justin Fields looked terrible as a passer. He got sacked 9 times. The positive, even though you got little to nothing out of your offense, you still only lost this game by 2 points. They need to get more out of Justin Fields in this matchup, but it's going to be tough. Garrett Wilson, their best receiving threat, is out for this game. Now, that shifts everything for the New York Jets offense. They're dead last in passing offense. But when you look at the rushing offense, they have the 5th best in football. You have to run the ball here. Now, this is where things get tricky. The Carolina Panthers, they're 9th in rushing defense. When they're at home, they have the 6th best rushing defense, but they're on the road here. They've given up some big plays on the ground to running backs like Travis Etienne. And the same to Arizona Cardinals in that matchup, even though they did a very good job in the second half against the run. But you have to find a way to run the football and work off a play action in this matchup. That is when Justin Fields is at his best. Against the Steelers in Week 1, 16-22, 218 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. But the run game opened up those passes. He had 48 rushing yards on the ground and 2 rushing touchdowns. Against the Miami Dolphins, he looked very good in this matchup. 20-27. 226 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. But he had 1 rushing touchdown and 81 rushing yards on the ground. You have to run the ball in this matchup, and you have to get some big-time production out of your receivers here. Out of Arian Smith, who is a rookie. Mason Taylor at the tight end position, and the same with Josh Reynolds. You don't have that receiving threat that can go out there and go deep down the field because Garrett Wilson is out, but you have players that can hurt the Carolina Panthers underneath with a bunch of quick game. And this is the thing here with Justin Fields. The processing has to be better in this matchup. A lot of the pressure last week, a lot of the sacks last week, that was all on Justin Fields. Not every single sack, but a lot of it was. Receivers are open underneath. Just take the shot. Take what the defense gives you. Live with 3 to 4 yards at a time. Now you're looking at 2nd and 6, maybe 2nd and 5, instead of now you're looking at 2nd and 15 because you took a dumb sack. He can believe in his athleticism. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks that we have. But when he starts backpedaling, he's trying to run around and make a play. Those defensive edge rushers and those linebackers, they catch you in space. Now you're in trouble. And this is the one thing with the Carolina Panthers defense, even though they have had some good moments this season, especially against the run, the pass rush has been very inconsistent. They're ranked 26 in pass rush win rate when they don't blitz. So if they're not able to blitz out there and they can't put that pressure on Justin Fields, he should have some time inside the pocket to get the football to some of these wide receivers, but they have to win in space. And Tanner is a first-year offensive coordinator. He needs to do a better job of route concepts here. Get the football out quick, use read option to your advantage, and try to get Breece Hall going as much as possible. We've seen Breece Hall have some good moments this season against the Steelers, against the Dallas Cowboys, against the Miami Dolphins. Get the rushing attack going and use him as a receiving threat coming out of the backfield. I know when you think of Breece Hall, you may not think that he's this top receiving threat that can come out of the backfield, but he can catch the football on screens. He can win those one-on-one situations with a linebacker in space, and the same with Isaiah Davis if you give them the opportunity. You also have Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard hasn't done much with the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers, but it's the reason why he's still in this roster. See if you can get something out of him. He's a big body wide receiver that should be able to do damage in the red zone and short yardage situations if it is 3rd and 3. But the one thing here with the Jets, if you want to go out there and you have to prioritize running the football, the offensive line, they have to be better in terms of going downhill. And when you look at this offensive line, it's a lot of young talent. Olu Fashanu, Armin Membu at the tackle position. You have Joe Tippmann in the interior of this offensive line, and the same with John Simpson. All those players have to step up. And the biggest player that I'm looking at right now for the Carolina Panthers that you want to always go out there and double team over and over again would be Derrick Brown. He's a game wrecker. He can get to the quarterback. He can stop the run. He has been tremendous against the run this season, but you have to put multiple bodies on him. And maybe the New York Jets, maybe they go out there and they run a pistol type of offense to where you just set up those blocks and you give Breece Hall more time to come out of the backfield. So as soon as the blocks are just going out there and they're formulating up front, he has time to pick which gap he wants to run through. But at the same time, you have to be careful here because Christian Roseboom has played better over the last couple of weeks, and the same with Trayvon Wallace. But that's why the read option can help you out in this matchup, and the same with the RPOs. You can have a situation to where he hands the football off to Breece Hall, to where Justin Fields could take it with his legs, and on the back end, you may have someone like Arian Smith, or even someone like Mason Taylor. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this offense is going to be able to move against this Carolina Panthers defense that has been very stout over the last couple of weeks, especially in the second half. And you have to make sure that the Carolina Panthers play from behind. You want to force Bryce Young to be the reason why you lose this matchup. You have to be better against the run in this game. And speaking of the defense here with the New York Jets, the Jets defense played amazing last week. We've seen them give up big plays to the Steelers in week 1, the same to the Miami Dolphins and to the Dallas Cowboys. But for the first time last week underneath Aaron Glenn and with Steve Wilks calling defensive plays, they looked like the old New York Jets. They were amazing against the run, and they put a lot of pressure on Bo Nix. You have to take advantage of that. Take away the run game here for the Carolina Panthers. Rico has went insane the last 2 weeks with the Carolina Panthers against the Dallas Cowboys and against the Miami Dolphins. And we've seen Bryce Young turn the football over at a high rate at certain points in times this season. Capitalize off of that. They need more out of Sauce Gardner on the back end of this defense. Looked very good last week, but he hasn't been that same lockdown corner since his rookie season. He's been dealing with a lot of penalties. And you may put him one-on-one with someone like Teteroa McMillan, who has easily been the best wide receiver this season with the Carolina Panthers, but you have to be careful. Jalen Coker is able to play in this matchup, and he will play. He was a very productive wide receiver last year for the Panthers as an undrafted free agent. He comes in, it opens up a complete new game plan for the Carolina Panthers on the outside, and you have to be accountable for Hunter Renfrow and the things that he can do inside the slot. But Sauce Gardner, I like him a lot at that cornerback position. Brandon, he's been up and down as a corner. He's had more bad moments than good moments. But last week, he looked solid. He needs to be more consistent in this matchup. Michael Carter II has had a lot of bad moments this season, and he's questionable for this matchup. They need more out of him. But Quentin Williams, Will McDonald, and Jermaine Johnson, they can all get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. But this is a top offensive line in the NFC for the Carolina Panthers. But you really have to go out there and put that pressure on Bryce Young from different angles over and over again. Look at what the Jacksonville Jaguars did in week 1. They made sure that the run game was not going to beat them. They went out there, they basically crowded the line of scrimmage, and they were tough on those wide receivers over and over again. And this is the key here with Bryce Young. He will have some throws that'll make you scratch your head and say, okay, I understand why the Carolina Panthers selected him with the first overall pick a couple of years ago. But make Bryce Young be the reason why you lose this matchup if you do lose this game, if you are the New York Jets. But you have the players in place. And the dumb penalties on the defensive end and the same with the offensive end, they have to stop in this game. And clock management has to be better. But Steve Wilks is the former defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. That's a mini storyline here. He was the interim head coach a couple of years ago. That's when they went with Sam Darnold for the back half of the season, and they started to turn some things around there. So maybe he wants to go out there and get back at his old team. We'll see. But they have the players in place that could possibly go out there and make this a physical game for the Carolina Panthers. But you have to stop Rico and the same with Chuba Hubbard in order for this to happen. And be on the lookout for Jamin Sherwood at the middle linebacker position. Quincy Williams is still on IR. And he's a very good tackling linebacker with this organization. But the Jets, they could possibly win their first game this season. Because when you look at it from this standpoint, Bryce Young is 1-15 in his career on the road. He's a completely different quarterback at home than he is on the road. And that brings over the Carolina Panthers side of things. So let's talk about them. The Carolina Panthers are currently 3-3. They've won their last 2 games at home. They have yet to win a game on the road this season. But when you look at the last 2 games, Rico has easily been the best player on the offensive side of the ball. Against the Miami Dolphins, 23 carries, 206 rushing yards, average 9 yards a carry, 1 rushing touchdown. Longest rush of the day went for 53 yards. That was a touchdown. Against the Dallas Cowboys last week, he completely dominated against them yet again. 30 carries, 183 rushing yards. And he had a receiving touchdown, 57 receiving yards. That's back-to-back games with over 200 yards of scrimmage. But Chuba Hubbard, now he's fully healthy. He's ready to come back into the lineup here. I think that you run both running backs. I think that you go heavier with Rico in this matchup because he has a hot hand over the last 2 weeks. And then you work in Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard last year, 1,200 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. And this has always been the plan with the Carolina Panthers. This is why they drafted Jonathan Brooks a year ago. They wanted a downhill threat. They wanted to be able to go out there, run the football, and work off of play action every single week to make life easier on Bryce Young. You can't get away from the run game here. Early on this season, we saw Dave Canales come out passing the football at a high rate with Bryce Young, and you can make the case where they were behind in those matchups. You can't make the case over the last couple of weeks. They were down against the Dallas Cowboys. They ran their way back in. They mixed in the run with the pass. Against the Miami Dolphins, they were down 17-0. They mixed in the run with the pass again. So even if you go down in this matchup by 10 points, you still run the football and you stick with that run game. You want to help out Bryce Young. And I expect that the turnovers will stop in this matchup with Bryce Young. Now, last week, he did throw an interception, but it wasn't on him. It bounced off the hands of Teteroa McMillan. And McMillan still had a very good game last week. But Bryce Young, 17-25, 199 passing yards. Was able to have the 3 passing touchdowns. Against the Miami Dolphins, he had a bad fumble early on. He had a bad interception as well. But he had 2 passing touchdowns for 198 passing yards. We've seen Bryce Young have those big-time moments this season. But he doesn't need to play hero ball in this matchup, especially with Chuba Hubbard returning. And with Jalen Coker being out there back at the wide receiving position, now you have a more complete wide receiving group with Teteroa McMillan, who has been one of the best wide receivers in the game. He is so phenomenal on the outside. Feed him early and often. And one low-key player that a lot of people have been talking about is Mitchell Evans, the tight end. Has looked very good in the red zone against the Dallas Cowboys and against the Miami Dolphins. We've seen him become an actual red zone threat underneath. And they play a lot of heavy sets with this team. Now, a lot of that is because they've had to because of the injuries at the wide receiving position. Xavier Legette, he's missed time this season. And the same with Jalen Coker. He's been dealing with a leg injury. This will be his first game this year, even though he's been able to practice over the last couple of weeks. But you go out there and you stick with that same game plan. Don't force Bryce Young to have over 30 pass attempts in this matchup. Go with that run game still. Work off that play action. Then when you get into the red zone, feed those tight ends in space. And the one thing about the New York Jets defense, you could test out these linebackers over and over again. And this is what we saw Bryce Young do against the Miami Dolphins and the same against the Dallas Cowboys. Hell, he even did this against the Atlanta Falcons a couple of weeks ago. Let's not forget about that game when they won 30-0 at home. But it just comes down to the turnovers with Bryce Young. If he doesn't have a bad fumble or a bad interception, clean football is the way to go here. And this offensive line, I've been so impressed up to this point in time in the season. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries on this offensive line over the last couple of weeks. Austin Corbett, he's now on IR. Robert Hunt, he's on IR. You bring in Cade Mays, you can make the case that he should have been the starting center from the start of the season. He's been a phenomenal center the last couple of weeks. Brady Christensen at the right guard position, he's been holding his own. He's been a very good pass protector and also in terms of going out there and kicking out to the second level and run blocking. Taylor Moton is questionable for this matchup, but it's important to note he wasn't able to play last week and they were still moving people off the ball against the Dallas Cowboys. Ickey has been a very good left tackle and the same with Damian Lewis, and he's questionable for this matchup. But you live off the offensive line, work off of play action, and feed your playmakers in space. And make sure that you have Bryce Young comfortable as much as possible inside the pocket. And we've seen him make some plays outside the pocket. But I'm just worried about those turnovers that have happened in the past against the Arizona Cardinals when he had a fumble for 6. The same against the Jacksonville Jaguars, had 2 interceptions in that matchup and a fumble. And against the Miami Dolphins. But if he doesn't turn the football over, he doesn't have multiple turnovers, this should be an easy game for the Carolina Panthers. I am concerned about that 1-15 road record that Bryce Young does have, though. I'm not going to even lie to you guys. But the running backs will be the biggest difference maker in this matchup, and the same with the offensive line in general. Now, the defense here with the Panthers. First half, they'll have some bad moments. Second half, they make a lot of adjustments. Go out there, sell out to stop the run. It's that simple. They don't have the receiving threats that could go out there and hurt the Carolina Panthers over and over again. And even if the New York Jets did have Garrett Wilson, if he was able to play, you still have one of the best cornerbacks in football. It's the reason why he's one of the highest paid corners. And I'm talking about J.C. Horn here, who has been very good this season. He's been very good every single year with the Carolina Panthers when he's been fully healthy. I don't know if they're going to play much man coverage in this matchup, but I believe that is the way to go. You force these wide receivers to beat you in space over and over again. Now, you're not going to go out there and run man coverage every single drive. You're going to mix in some zone. But I'll play some heavy man in this one. And I'll bring in Lathan Ransom over the top to take away the middle of the field with someone like Mason Taylor. This is the thing with Justin Fields. He is so inconsistent as a passer. He may go out there and he may thread the needle and you will say, hey, this man's a top quarterback in this league. And then the next drive, he may just throw an absolute duck. That is what you're hoping for. Capitalize off those mistakes, and hopefully those can come over for turnovers if you are a Carolina Panthers fan. And the pass rush here, I would blitz Justin Fields a lot in this matchup. Justin Fields has not been particularly good against the blitz this season, and that's been the Achilles heel in his career. You bring in a lot of pressure. He just goes blind against the blitz. And receivers, they may be open, but he wants to run around. He's not on the same level as some young quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels and the same with other quarterbacks that we've seen taken in the first round. Justin Fields doesn't keep his eyes downfield. As soon as he gets off the first and the second read, he's taking off with his legs. If you put up a spy, maybe it's Trayvon Wallace, maybe it's Christian Roseboom, you keep him behind the line of scrimmage and you make sure that you bring him down with your other edge rushers. This should be a very good defensive outing for the Carolina Panthers, similar to what happened against the Atlanta Falcons a couple of weeks ago. You set on top of those wide receivers, you put that pressure on Michael Penix Jr., you won that game 30-0. But Derek Brown and Bobby Brown, they have been phenomenal against the run this season. And the same with Ashawn Robinson. You have Nick Gordon. We'll see if he can step up as an edge rusher with this team in this matchup. And you have DJ Wonnum and Princely. But the safety position with Trayvon Mooring and the same with Nick Scott and Lathan Ransom, they've all been very good against the run. They've all been better on the back end of coverage. Because let's not forget, last season, the Carolina Panthers were dead last in terms of stopping the run, and the safety room was abysmal. With all that being said, the injury with Garrett Wilson is really going to hurt the New York Jets in this matchup. They're a desperate team right now. I don't think that they will get blown out in this matchup, but I still have the Carolina Panthers winning this game. And I'm taking the Carolina Panthers to win this matchup 23-17. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have taking this game? The New York Jets or the Carolina Panthers? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.